Hello, my name is Chris Taylor. I'm the Head of Health and Safety here at Lanes Group, for those who don't already know me. Recently, you were involved in a Pulse survey that asked a series of questions, and the purpose of that was it enables your field management teams, your senior leadership teams to get a true account of what's going on out there on the front lines, both in office and field. And from that, then we can look at potentially existing processes and perhaps changes that need to be made to make the whole operation a lot more slicker. It may be frustrations that you have, and obviously you may have voiced it before in the past and perhaps it's fell on deaf ears or you've not seen any action being taken, but it allows us then to take ownership of that and make sure it happens and see it through and take accountability for it more than anything else. So it's a shame because there was only a small number from the frontline teams from the field side of things that responded. So it only paints a small picture of what's actually going on out there and how you guys are feeling. So we've had to sort of do the best we can with the information that we had. From the office, there was a little bit more information, so that's helped immensely. So we're doing a lot there in the background. So I just wanted to pick out the three main points that really stood out for us, and just to sort of, whether it's we spoke about it before perhaps, or we haven't discussed it, this will give me an opportunity to do so. And I'm conscious of taking up too much of your time, so I'll try and get through this reasonably quick for you. Off the back of this video, obviously, if you do have any questions, then please feel free to contact internal communications, and then they will steer your question to the individual that's going to best answer that for you. Okay, so the 3 points we had is concerns around vehicle sharing, communications and socializing, and personal protective equipment / respiratory protective equipment. So I'll start at the beginning. Vehicle sharing. So understandably, some individuals will be concerned about that. The majority of individuals will be concerned about that. And we understand for why. We did send some comms out at the very beginning when this whole pandemic started, because obviously we identified or recognized at least that was potentially going to be an issue. So ensuring that we followed government guidance, and obviously you have the HSC, the Health and Safety Executives, they have their own guidance that are almost aligned with one another. We wanted to make sure that was the case and that we was compliant to both. And the guidance there was ultimately what we shared with you, and that would be regular cleaning of your vehicle, ventilation of vehicle, cleaning of surfaces. Masks came later on in the guidance, but obviously we adhered to that when it happened. So we provide general use masks. And in the video that I created, it was a case of encouraging you both to speak to one another and ask those questions. How are you feeling today? Has the family, are you feeling unwell today? Have you got a high fever? Have you been coughing recently? All this sort of stuff. Have a chat about it. And then obviously if you are concerned then with the responses that they gave you, then obviously you could go away, speak to a technical specialist or perhaps a field manager, and obviously share your concerns, and we could look at what adjustments we could make there. But I'm fully aware that some of those conversations weren't happening. That might have been because people felt uncomfortable or a little bit embarrassed in having that conversation. And we shouldn't be, okay? This is going to be the new norm for a while. So we should embrace it and get used to it and incorporate this into our daily duties to have that conversation with our colleague. So we've encouraged the cleaning of vehicles. We've given you all the right kit and equipment to do so. We've provided you with general use masks so that when you are traveling with someone, if you have a sudden cough or sneeze, that it's going to be contained and it's not going to be shared to the other person in that cab. And also your mists are not going to land on surfaces. Okay, so it's an opportunity to protect others from a virus that you might have, and that you may spread. Okay. Excellent. Okay, driving with the vehicle open. Try not to spend too much time in your vehicle. So when you are out on site and when you are taking breaks, have it outside the vehicle. I mean, the weather we've had recently has been absolutely stunning. So there's no reason to get out there and enjoy some of the sunshine. Okay. We try to, where possible, and obviously you can appreciate, I guess, the struggles we have in trying to keep the same teams together, but where we can, we will and we must. But there's always going to be times, whether it's down to sickness, whether it's down to annual leave, all things like this, where potentially you may have to change partner. But like I say, we're trying to reduce that as much as possible. But where you're applying all the measures that we just spoke about, you should be safeguarded anyway, regardless. But I understand the benefits of staying with the same person. We all get that, okay? And we'll try our best to make sure that continues. I'll move on to PPE and RPE because it's very similar, and we've kind of touched upon general use masks. So obviously we're aware, as are you, that there's going to be a time you need to go into customers' properties. Very far and few between, but nevertheless, there's going to be times. So we instructed the planners to obviously ask the question when speaking to customers, and that where we got a positive answer in regards to someone is self-isolating, that we would document that in the notes. Now, there was some feedback from the engineer saying that wasn't happening, but perhaps we didn't communicate well enough that if a customer has no symptoms, is not self-isolating, we will not put anything on the notes. And I think the confusion was that engineers assumed that the question wasn't being asked because nothing was detailed on the comments. But please feel rest assured that we was asking the question. Now, the other issue we have is on the phone, perhaps, the customer's going to say, no, absolutely not, absolutely fine, not self-isolating, just at home. And then you turn up and it's a completely different story because you can see the whites of their eyes, and obviously you can see that the setup and their living circumstances. So you might see a completely different thing there. But unfortunately, over the phone, we don't have that luxury. So that's why we encouraged you in comms back at the beginning again to have that conversation again with the customers in regards to self-isolation, symptoms, social distancing, all this stuff, okay? Just to ensure that both opportunities to find this out are taken. Okay, we provided you with the PF2 masks that are adequate for working in close proximity to people that potentially have the coronavirus. It's what the medical professionals are using, those that care for and treat individuals that are suffering from said virus. So by creating ventilation in the property, leaving property rear doors open, by maintaining social distancing, and by trying to obviously minimise the amount of time that you're in the property for, that is low risk. So you should feel, I hope that you feel more comfortable and confident with that. And using all the PPE like coveralls, gloves, glasses, and the masks, you're as safe as any medical professional would be, ultimately. And in theory, you're spending less time with someone that we don't even know has the virus, whereas a medical professional knows they've got the virus and they're in close proximity to that individual for quite some time. So that's where you are deemed to be a significantly lower risk than those individuals, of course. So hopefully going in at people's properties and you can see that we are giving you the provisions that you need. Now, admittedly, at the very beginning, we and most other businesses struggled because obviously the demand was immense. You had obviously the government instructing suppliers to prioritise the NHS, and absolutely right that they should. And small organisations, essential workers would be your sort of second and thirds. So there was long delays in sourcing those products, but we continually were ordering large volumes so that when it did come in, it would see us through the next period of time. We're in a much better place now, and we have been for several weeks now. What has come to light is from a few individuals across the regions that it's been difficult to source equipment from the depots for one reason or another, and that is completely unacceptable. Okay, if we've got the kit, it should be there for you as and when you need it. Granted, with general use masks, you should only be issued, if you're doing a 4-day shift, 4 to last you, 1 per day. And the FP2 masks, you'd be given 1 or 2 in sealed units, and then obviously as and when you needed more, if you were going into customers' properties, then we would replenish that stock for you. And the same with gloves, disposable overalls and hand sanitizers and the likes of. Now, for those obviously that did struggle to get said equipment, then obviously you need to make us aware. Okay, speak to your regional managers. If you need additional support, then speak to your health and safety advisors, and we can try and move that forward for you. Okay, please don't sit there in silence and struggle and become frustrated with it. Reach out to somebody and let us try and help you. Okay, if we don't know, we can't help you. Okay, perfect. The final one is communications and sort of socializing. A lot of people are feeling anxious at this time, even stress related or even depression potentially. And obviously we have many mental health advisors across the business that can have those conversations with you if needed. We have our support person, Kelly Hansford. Again, if you are struggling to cope, then please speak to Kelly Hansford, and Kelly can set up a program with you and give you greater insight to what's going on in the business. And just try to keep socializing with your peers, with your family members throughout the day. So catch up with one another, see how you're getting on. Obviously, if in person, you must maintain that 2 meter social distancing guidance. Obviously, over the phone, FaceTime, all this sort of stuff. There's a lot of technology, but software out there now that we can utilize to keep in touch with one another, and it's really, really important. If things are not so great at home, then reach out to Kelly, speak to your colleagues, okay? You don't have to be trained to listen to somebody, okay? Obviously, if you've got more complex worries or needs, then obviously we do have the wellbeing application that will trigger help to come to you, okay? So please utilize that where you need. But staying in touch with people is incredibly important, and you have your line management, you have your transport leads, you have your administrators, you have your planners and schedulers, you have your health and safety people, if I haven't already mentioned them. You have your senior leadership team, your field management teams, your regional managers, for example. There's a lot of support out there for you. It's just you reaching out and seeking that support, because if we don't know, again, we can't help you, and we really want to. We're open to help you because we appreciate how difficult this time is at the moment. Okay, so hopefully this has sort of put at ease some of those worries you might have had. And if not, because I'm conscious of time, please reach out to me and I will try to explain a little bit more in detail some of the things around the 3 topics that I spoke about within this video. Okay, so I think all what's left for me to say is stay safe, stay well. Please don't take any shortcuts. Please utilize the equipment, the PPE, the RPE that's been provided for you. I hope that your families are well. And I look forward to seeing you soon. There's going to be a series of stand downs coming up, so I will see you in person very, very soon. Thank you for your time. Cheers.